initiate,
interact, influence.
Thank you, sir. I think all of you will agree that he has already set the tone of what is the kind of actions that he has taken as a defense minister and what this government does. What we'll do is there are a set of questions that have come, but I have a couple of questions to start with, and then we will go to the audience questions. We've got them in writing.
Before you start, I think you are now clear.
Yes.
Where the credit for surgical
Of course.
lies. Because the media still appears to be confused.
Well, I will pass it on to my ex-media friends because I am no longer in media.
They
but I
are
will
here.
tell-
They should
I'm
know
sure
that it belongs to Indian Army.
Absolutely.
And the people of India.
Absolutely. I think they've got that recorded, so they will show it that way, I hope.
The credit goes, but initiative is from your side. The government.
Yes.
I said
initiative.
no, it's the decision making ability of the government that matters. That has to be debated whether a correct decision, right time decision is taken. In political setup, we never, as a ministers, we never execute a policy. We get the policies executed to the officers. Army is given free hand to execute. It did it best in the style it can. Therefore, the credit goes to them. But the policy initiative definitely lies, whether it's economic policy, suppose tomorrow economy go bad, you are going to blame the policy for it. So same way, the decision making capacity and ability and judgment of the government has to be taught.
Correct. It is that, and in fact, I want you to just sort of elaborate a little bit to the audience, especially that there are these questions which have been raised by critics, even within the strategic community and in the political circles, that what is so big? We had done these strikes earlier also, and there have been reports, as you must have seen in the media. Although I can give that answer, but because you took the decision along with the minister, along with the cabinet and with the Prime Minister's leadership, I want you to elaborate a little bit how the earlier strikes on the border, on the LOC, is different from what we have done now.
First of all, I am defense minister for 2 years, and from whatever I have learned, there is no surgical strike any time earlier.
Okay.
What probably they are quoting are what is called as action taken by border action teams. These are common practices across globe and also in Indian Army, that the local commander sometimes takes action against a punitive action against the opponent who has been troubling him to settle the score. It's not an official action of the approved by the government, and therefore it is called as covert operation.
There is deniability.
Without knowledge of anyone.
That's right.
The report is subsequently received.
Correct.
In this case, a decision was taken and conveyed. Of course, the execution was done superbly by the army, that is,
Correct.
they have done their job properly, but there was a decision and which was announced by army itself, DGM. If we had to take political credit for it, defense minister would have announced it. We have not announced it. It is Indian Armed Forces, Director General of Military Operation who announced the outcome and informed the action taken by the Indian military. So the difference is this is a covert operation. It's an operation which very clearly indicates intent of Indian Army which was carried out.
And the Indian nation.
And in the nation. That's why all the claims which are coming now. They were never made when they were supposed to have
Taken place, yeah.
Some of them may be true, some of them may be exaggerated. There are people who the number may increase to 2-3 dozen during election. The old cases. Secondly, this was single one-time operation.
And also the span,
I won't give the details of it.
Oh. I will say it.
You are defense expert, so you can always
I can-
mention.
I can
but
say-
I will say that it is a simultaneously operation. The exact word DGMO has
Has said that, yes.
is actually the
On the launch pads. I can share with the people here that this kind of an operation takes a lot of planning, guts and intelligence. And it was done, as I said, on an arc of 250 kilometers, starting from Poonch in south of Pir Panjal and going right up to Kupwara, which is north of Pir Panjal. And 7 locations, launch pads co-located with Pakistani Army Corps. And to attack them simultaneously, to do it like a clockwork precision and then come back safely is one of the greatest feats in special operations one can talk about.
Me sitting here do not certify his information. I am only a listener, except that they came back safely. I don't.
Okay, let's move on from surgical operations because I think all of you know a lot about that. There is one sort of feeling amongst a lot of people, a perception that the armed forces are not looked after or not given their due by the 7th Pay Commission and subsequently by the government. Its implementation is being either delayed or it's not up to the expectations of the armed forces. There is a problem of defense pensions where the anomalies are there and people are feeling that they are being let down, their status is
To Zoom, please press pound, then enter your meeting ID, followed by the pound sign again.
94901249442.
Please enter the meeting passcode, followed by the pound sign.
FIN stand for Forum for Integrated National Security. The national defense, when we say, it relates to your border. If your borders are secure, you think the nation is secure. In 21st century, merely a defense of border is not enough to defend the nation. There is a need for us to start rethinking on the lines of national security. So, flowing from this philosophy, the idea came for the FINS. FIN stand for Forum for Integrated National Security. The national defense, when we say, it relates to your border. If your borders are secure, you think the nation is secure. In 21st century, merely a defense of border is not enough to defend the nation. There is a need for us to start rethinking on the lines of national security. So, flowing from this philosophy, the idea came for the FINS.
FINS has started its momentous role of creating awareness from 2003, and in 2013, based on its experience of 10 years, it transformed itself into a think tank from an organization creating mass awareness.
Why FINS? Because it is not enough only to the armed forces to be aware of this. The citizens of nation must be aware at what is at stake. If they are not secure, if they are not sound, if they are not conscious about the things, they will be the first victim. Make them aware. Request them their involvement. And that is how the journey of FINS started.
When the FINS started in the year 2003, we found, or rather we understood, that we need to have interaction with the experts in their respective fields. Where it is the experts who will be able to say what the national security should be, what it is and how it should be framed. So in that journey, we started contacting people from different fields, different walks of the life, be it the academician or professionals, say the nuclear scientists or the police experts or the defense experts or the socio-economic experts.
So within the first 5 years, we were able to establish over 17 chapters in various states, which got involved in holding seminars, workshops, addressing the colleges, Rotarians and the public on what is their role in national security.
Dr. Kalam has been a great person of our nation. So one day I happened to ask him, I said, sir, we are making all the missiles, all right, it's very good. I said, but who is going to operate these? He said, you people, you are going to operate. So I said, sir, but unless we have the skill development, skill required to operate those missiles, how will we train ourselves? He said, that is you. I said, no, sir, you got to tell us. He said, oh my God, I'll think it over. When I met him again after 3 weeks on another aspect, he said, you are right. We need to create a human resource to operate the technology. And that human resource will come only from universities and colleges.
India lacks in academic training in strategic studies, and I think That is a necessity of the day. See, FINS is an institute which is attempting to basically get the real security doctrine in real sense together. The lack of academic training in this field, and even when I was Chief Minister of Goa, I had asked FINS to set up an institute in Goa which will look on security issues in an exclusive manner.
So FINS will start postgraduate courses as well as PhD by way of research. Besides, we will have some certificate courses and crash courses also. The institute will be located in Goa, away from the main city. Facility for research, well equipped and best library. There will be conference room as well as the accommodation facility for those who decide to stay and do research. The curriculum and subjects will be correlated to the 14 study groups that are constituted by the FINS. And in this, all these courses and the curriculum will be formed in such a way that it is country-centric, number one. Number two, those who join the institute should also study the external affairs from the strategic point of view. Basically, the subjects will be the defense strategy, number one, maritime security, governance, cyber security, psychological warfare, and soft power. So the curriculum and the courses will be designed in such a way that the candidate who completes his study is a full-fledged strategic person in the field of national security.
Initiate, interact, influence. Initiate, interact, influence.
Thank you, sir. I think all of you will agree that he has already set the tone of what is the kind of actions that he has taken as a defense minister and what this government does. What we'll do is there are a set of questions that have come, but I have a couple of questions to start with, and then we will go to the audience questions. We've got them in writing.
Before you start, I think you are now clear.
Yes.
Where the credit for surgical.
Of course.
Lies. Because the media still appears to be confused.
Well, I will pass it on to my ex-media friends because I am no longer in media.
They
but I
are
will
here.
tell.
They should
I'm
know
sure
that it belongs to Indian Army.
Absolutely.
And the people of India.
Absolutely. I think they've got that recorded, so they will show it that way, I hope.
The credit goes, but initiative is from your side. The government.
Yes.
I
said initiative.
No, it's the decision-making ability of the government that matters. That has to be debated whether a correct decision, right time decision is taken. In political setup, we never, as a ministers, we never execute a policy. We get the policies executed to the officers. Army is given free hand to execute. It did it best in the style it can. Therefore, the credit goes to them. But the policy initiative definitely lies, whether it's economic policy, suppose tomorrow economy go bad, you are going to blame the policy for it. So same way, the decision-making capacity and ability and judgment of the government has to be taught.
Correct. It is that, and in fact, I want you to just sort of elaborate a little bit to the audience, especially that there are these questions which have been raised by critics, even within the strategic community and in the political circles, that what is so big? We had done these strikes earlier also, and there have been reports, as you must have seen in the media, Although I can give that answer, but because you took the decision along with the minister, along with the cabinet and with the Prime Minister's leadership, I want you to elaborate a little bit how the earlier strikes on the border, on the LOC, is different from what we have done now.
First of all, I am Defence Minister for 2 years, and from whatever I have learned, there is no surgical strike any time earlier.
Okay.
What probably they are quoting are what is called as action taken by border action teams.
Correct.
These are common practices across globe and also in Indian Army, that the local commander sometimes takes action against punitive action against the opponent who has been troubling him to settle the score. It's not an official action of the approved by the government, and therefore it is called as covert operation.
There is deniability
without knowledge of anyone.
That's right.
The report is subsequently received.
Correct.
In this case, a decision was taken and conveyed.
That's right.
Of course, the execution was done superbly by the army. That is,
correct.
they have done their job properly. But there was a decision and which was announced by army itself, DGM. If we had to take political credit for it, defense minister would have announced it.
Right.
We have not announced it. It is Indian Armed Forces, Director General of Military Operation who announced the outcome and informed the action taken by the Indian military. So the difference is this is a covert operation. It's an operation which very clearly indicates intent of Indian Army which was carried out.
And the Indian nation.
And in the nation. That's why all the claims which are coming now. They were never made when they were supposed to have
taken place. Yeah.
Some of them may be true, some of them may be exaggerated. There are people who the number may increase to 2-3 dozen during election. The old cases. Secondly, this was single one-time operation.
And also the span.
I won't give the details of it.
Oh, I will say it.
You are defense expert, so you can always mention. But
say
I will say that it is a simultaneously operation. The exact word DGMO has said
yes.
It is actually
on the launch pads. I can share with the people here that this kind of an operation takes a lot of planning, guts and intelligence. And it was done, as I said, on an arc of 250 kilometers, starting from Poonch in south of Pir Panjal and going right up to Kupwara, which is north of Pir Panjal. And 7 locations, launch pads co-located with Pakistani Army Corps. And to attack them simultaneously, to do it like a clockwork precision and then come back safely is one of the greatest feats in special operations one can talk about.
Me here do not certify his information. I am only a listener, except that they came back safely. I don't.
Okay, let's move on from surgical operations because I think all of you know a lot about that. There is one sort of feeling amongst a lot of people, a perception that the armed forces are not looked after or not given their due by the 7th Pay Commission and subsequently by the government. Its implementation is being either delayed or it's not up to the expectations of the armed forces. There is a problem of defense pensions where the anomalies are there and people are feeling that they are being let down, their status is coming down. That's the feeling, that's the perception. What do you have to say about that?
The perception is being created by certain interest. And like for example, when OROP was given, this is a demand which was 43 years old.
Right.
We were discussing various impact of it on other. There are courts ultimately. When I give something to one section of the ultimately armed forces may be different, but at the same time they are part of the government.
True.
What applies to them could be, if not properly explained, could apply to others also.
Yes.
So therefore, we have to be very careful in wording and the reasoning for it. So that tomorrow if someone goes to the court and asks for the same thing, they cannot claim it because a separate class under Article 14 has to be clearly defined properly and the reasoning for it. So it took some time. That time many people tried to create an atmosphere of mixed feeling and sort of a desperation that we are being cheated or something like that. I will tell you, we have so far released first installment about 4,000 crores. The second installment, I was told, almost 2,000 crores nearby. I'm saying that I have been already released, and total package per year is about 7,500 crores. Whereas what was being put as a demand was something like 8,000 odd crores.
Right.
So it's only almost 90 to 93%
Fulfillment has happened.
fulfillment. I remember what channel even went to the extent of saying that what does particular means 85-90% satisfaction. I meant that I knew that everyone cannot be satisfied. Mind you, there are 20 lakh approximately armed forces personnel, and there are about 18 lakh armed forces personnel, and there are almost about 22 lakhs, 21 point something pensioners.
Yes. Defense pension.
Defense pensioners. It's a huge number. It's almost more than one third of the government.
Right.
So obviously when you apply some principle to someone, there are going to be anomalies. There are so many different categories of ex-servicemen, for example, that some component might be left out.
Right.
So wherever such matters have come to our notice, we have one by one, I have personally gone into it and got it resolved. Most of them have been resolved. Yes, there are some anomalies due to 7th Pay Commission and this pension. We will resolve them. But I don't think that can be a issue of national debate.
Right.
There are some people who are interested in creating this spot type of thinking. I can assure the people of the country and the armed forces that I personally have taken up the matter with Prime Minister. There are procedures for Government of India. We will complete those procedures and we will, at the earliest, we will see that one by one those anomalies are.
Including the disability pension and others.
Whatever anomalies are there,
Right.
they have been noted. In disability also, most of the cases there is benefit.
Right.
The Jawans are benefiting. There are some categories of the officers where there may be some anomaly. I am checking it back moment I go.
When you go back.
No order has been, final order has been issued. Only the draft resolution has been put up on the website.
That's right. So this is not being implemented. It is just being, sort of said that it will be.
No, we will examine that.
Right.
Whatever could be addressed while drafting, we will address it there.
That's
Whatever cannot be drafted will be given to the anomalies committee and resolved.
Sure. So let me move on. You're going to complete 2 years as Defense Minister. What has been your biggest challenge? Because like Bharat Desai said that defense meant only two things. Either you didn't get any decision or you got scams as far as defense is concerned. So what has been your biggest challenge when you took over?
How to handle old scams. Very difficult. I'll tell you why. Some old scam comes into the picture, some company gets blacklisted.
Yeah.
It's very easy to blacklist a company, but there are very few arms companies to buy material from. I can't buy, even today, a gun which is required for naval ship because the main company of this subsidiary or smaller company is involved in some sort of a blacklisting procedure with government. In Europe, there is virtually 3 or 4 groups, as you are aware. In US, there are another 5-6 groups. So totally worldwide, the arms suppliers to India, technology or suppliers, are restricted to about 10 or 12. Even the number may appear to be about 30-40. Many of them are linked with each other. They hold cross pattern of shareholding. And it becomes almost impossible to navigate through all these to ensure that ultimately you place the contract. So that is one of the challenge.
Right.
Old acquisition schemes which had started in 2005 were going in spin. There is one acquisition for some 3,600 vehicles, new vehicles, replacement vehicles for certain quick reaction teams.
That's right.
After all that experiment, for some technicality, the acquisition was rejecting it. 2010 it started vehicle 4-drive wheels, jeeps.
Correct.
So that kind of mess was created earlier. I had to get out of that and ensure that without losing further time, the same procedure could be better. I did that. It's almost on the final phase of being finalized. But 6 years to buy 2-wheeler track, and this process has so many earlier defects which I don't blame only on defense ministry. There were rules, regulations which probably were made to ensure transparency. Every scam came up, one rule was introduced. Every second scam comes up, another rule is introduced. So you create yourself so many hurdles that you just don't complete the procedure. So I am trying to reduce the hurdles, one, and two, complete the procedures, because ultimately we have to buy them. These are not started during my time. They were requirement of army probably 3 years back. I am slowly getting them on board. So at least now, after 3 years, 4 years, 5 years delay, a Rafale deal,
2000.
it started in 2000. 16 years Indian Air Force is trying to buy a fighter plane for it, 4th generation fighter plane. All their efforts were going in spin, and now they talk. This gentleman who is talking about Rafale has written on the file that the L1 procedure Rafale, you may negotiate with them. However, because some MPs and some people have raised queries, including some finance people, after the negotiations are completed, you may redetermine the procedure followed to determine L1.
L1 is the lowest bidder for
L1 is the lowest bidder. L1 was finalized by a committee of which 3 finance experts had deferred their opinion. They had given different opinions. So he accepts and asks them to negotiate the price, terms, everything. There is a procedure in defense. It is slightly different from civil procedure. They negotiate the price after benchmarking and that. He says after you negotiate, complete the negotiation, then come back to me and tell me whether the procedure to select L1 was correctly followed or not. Now it got into the spin because of some other reason, price reason.
And the price was never determined. Sorry,
price was the foreign buy part was determined.
18 to be
18 was determined, but the rest to make in India was never determined because the conditions given by the French and what conditions Indians were putting were very different. The difference was about 70 crores. So that was not getting finalized. It got into the speed. Now this kind of, if you take decisions, these are no decisions. You can't complete procedure.
That's right.
So that is other aspect.
That was a challenge. But you have overcome that challenge a little bit, and going into a little bit of technicality for you to understand how difficult it is to change procedures. You got the new defense procurement procedure done, where Indian companies are now getting the priority. If you can just tell them.
So now we have made the priority number 1 as Indian design, developed and manufactured, IDDM category, where any product, if it is designed in India, developed in India and manufactured in India, it will have the topmost priority.
Right.
So if there is a product available like this, you can't buy any other. So Indian company, of course, even if the procedure has been notified, mind you, the actual action under that procedure probably will start next. That is the lengthiness of defense, because you have to select company technical specification has to be ticked. Then you have to go for testing, trials, and trials in summer in Rajasthan, trials in winter in Leh, all this kind of trials takes about 1.5 years. Then you start negotiating the price.
Correct. So that is something that has changed, that Indian companies will get the first priority. But let me move on to some of the 1 or 2 questions, and then I'll come back to my own questions. somebody's asked Siddharth R. Deshmukh, he's a cadet in Merchant Navy. He has asked what happened to the appointment of permanent chairman, chiefs of staff. Does the government think that it will bring in better coordination, and would it help contribute towards proper defense planning?
I'll put it in one line. The decision is linked to many other factors. Basically, what we need is a jointness of operation. If you really want to read on this, then you should read the struggle in USA on Goldman.
The Goldwater Nichols Act.
Goldwater Nichols Act, 1986. They took 4.5 years in the Senate debating about it, how to get it done. But the benefit of a CDS should be actually reflected in jointness in the services. That means joint operation should be smooth. If the joint operation cannot be undertaken, then CDS appointment is only for them. So it's basically a psychological change and needs to be properly discussed and finalized in this modality, at least step one.
Right. The other thing that people normally want to find out is when you talk about jointness, have the new doctrines, have they evolved, and are you asking people for defense reforms, higher defense management? Are there defense reforms in the offing?
There is already a committee which has given me the first supplementary of the first stage report, called as Lieutenant General Dr. Shekatkar, under whose chairmanship we have formed a committee, and it has given us the first report of how to improve the jointness, how to improve the capability of combat forces, while shaking off the unwanted legacy of past. Or basically, you should understand that at corps commander or the northern command level, they purchase these equipments wherever there is shortages. Right. So it's not that they are short of it. The authorization levels are short. We have to understand between actual shortage and authorized shortage. Authorized shortage is short, but actual on ground there is no shortage of bulletproof and the commander can buy if there is a requirement. Same way for all other except the gun, artillery gun, which is a capital procurement. Right. We have already inducted Dhanushya. It is based on the Bofort design, but it is
Good evening to one and all present here. I, Surbi Lunkar, am pleased and honored to welcome each one of you today for the launch of the book titled India's Nuclear Titans, Biographical Tales, edited by Dr. Soumya Awasthi and Dr. Shrabana Barua. Your presence means a lot to us. As our distinguished guests, we have with us some prominent personalities. Padma Vibhushan awardee Dr. Anil Kakotkar Sir, Chairman, Maharashtra Knowledge Corporation Limited, MKCL, former Chairman, Atomic Energy Commission of India, former Director, Bhabha Atomic Research Center, and an eminent nuclear physicist and scientist. Professor Dr. Ravindra Kulkarni Sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor, University of Mumbai, and Professor Dr. Uday Salunke Sir, Group Director, WeSchool. Honorable distinguished guests, your presence here today is a testament to your outstanding contributions and significance in your respective fields. We are deeply privileged to have you grace us with your presence. As we gather here today for the launch of the book India's Nuclear Titans, your presence adds a distinguished aura to the proceedings. May this event be a platform for meaningful connections and shared insights about the nuclear field. Once again, I extend my warm welcome to each one of you present here and also to our dignitaries with a round of applause. This event is organized by the Forum of Integrated National Security, FINS, in association with Strategic Research Growth Foundation, SRGF, and the WeSchool. FINS is a think tank where discussions, strategies, and initiatives related to integrated national security are considered. Their mission is to analyze and evolve policies and solutions on national security with a three-pronged approach of initiate, interact, and influence by engaging all stakeholders related with integrated national security. FINS is actively involved in research, publications, and has been organizing Thinkers Meet, seminars, and international conferences on various topics related to internal and external security of India. It also conducts studies and publishes research papers on the border issues faced by some of the Indian states. The team at FINS today comprises of veterans, former diplomats, and academicians, nurturing the culture of strategic thinking. FINS also gives an opportunity to young minds to work with it in the research center as interns that facilitates awareness about the national security in the minds of students to help in the national interest. The Strategic Research Growth Foundation, SRGF, is a dynamic and emerging non-profit organization headquartered in Mumbai, Maharashtra. The key objective is to work towards the betterment, welfare, and most importantly, growth of our nation at large. It was established in the early months of this year and is dedicated to fostering sustainable development, inclusive growth, and comprehensive national security of India. The foundation believes that the long-term and sustainable growth as well as the development can be best achieved when the efforts of the various stakeholders of society are synergized and are in harmony with commonly identified areas of impact. WeSchool, the place where we're all right now, the Welingkar Institute. Few institutions can boast of bridging the gap between academics and the industry. Welingkar Institute has come to be known as one of the prominent and the torchbearers for progressive higher growth today and also higher education. It was established in 1977 under the aegis of the SP Mandali Trust, one of the oldest trusts in the field of education. The WeSchool campus is built on the lines of some of the best WeSchools in the world with a broad range of dedicated facilities. The educational experience is augmented by a sophisticated and continuously evolving IT system that seamlessly integrates technology throughout the campus. The facilities have been designed keeping in mind the flexibility needed to produce a continuous and innovatory education system. They are research designed to meet and anticipate the evolving needs of business and industry. I take this opportunity to sincerely thank the members at FINS, SRGF, and the WeSchool for their support and efforts in bringing this event to life today. Your efforts shall be encouraged as you are not only supporting in launching a book today, but also creating awareness and deliberations about the Indian nuclear scientists and their contribution to the development of the nuclear program. Such efforts surely increase the participation of the academia in the policy formulation process and other matters pertaining to the national development and comprehensive security measures. Thank you very much to all the organizers. Nuclear energy is the fuel of the age. The power of the atom has long captivated our imaginations, and India's journey in harnessing the power for both peaceful and strategic purposes is a tale of determination, innovation, and responsibility. India's nuclear resource story is one that highlights the nation's commitment to scientific advancement and energy security. Since its very first peaceful nuclear explosion in 1974, India has evolved from being a non-aligned nation seeking self-reliance to a responsible nuclear state with a comprehensive national approach towards nuclear technology. This event intends to showcase the contributions of Indian scientists in the nuclear field as a testament to their dedication, expertise, and innovation. From the pioneering vision of Dr. Homi Bhabha, who laid the foundation, India has achieved remarkable milestones in terms of nuclear science. These include the successful Pokhran 1 and 2 tests, the development of indigenous nuclear explosions and advancements in the nuclear medicine, agriculture, and industry. Indian scientists have not only propelled the nation's energy security, but have also played a pivotal role in areas such as cancer diagnosis and treatment, improving the crop yields, and radiation technology applications. Their contributions underscore India's commitment to peaceful and responsible nuclear technology, while showcasing the nation's ability to excel in cutting-edge scientific endeavors on the global stage. Books like the one that would be released shortly, that is India's Nuclear Titans, and events like today's, act as the open doors for common people to get a glimpse into the important and unknown world of the nuclear science, which otherwise is not so easily accessible nor read about in the newspapers. It highlights about our courageous and intellectual nuclear scientists who over the years, with their tremendous hard work and dedication and perseverance, have made India a self-reliant nuclear nation. The nuclear scientists are truly our national asset. With that, to talk about the book, we also have with us Dr. Soumya Awasthi, one of the authors and editors of the book India's Nuclear Titans, Biographical Tales. Dr. Soumya Awasthi was an associate fellow with Vivekananda International Foundation, VIF, New Delhi. Previously, she worked with Manohar Parrikar Institute for Defense and Strategic Analysis in New Delhi. She has also worked as a fellow at the Center for Armed Forces Historical Research at United Service Institute, New Delhi, and the Center for United Nations Peacekeeping Organization. Ma'am is an alumni of the prestigious institutions like the Savitribai Phule University of Pune and Center for International Politics, Organization and Disarmament, SIPOD, the School of International Studies, Jawaharlal Nehru University. Her research interest includes counterterrorism, de-radicalization, South Asian strategic studies about Afghanistan and India's defense and strategic policy. Ma'am, we are really grateful to have you with us and for your efforts in editing this book, and would like to hear your thoughts and some excerpts about the book. Ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for Dr. Soumya Awasthi.
A very good evening to esteemed ladies and gentlemen. I, Dr. Soumya Awasthi, would extend my warm greetings to all of you with great enthusiasm. We gather here to celebrate the significant milestone, the launch of a book that casts a luminous spotlight on extraordinary individuals who have shaped India's nuclear trajectory. Allow me to extend a heartfelt welcome to each one of you for the launch of the book, India's Nuclear Titans, a Biographical Tale. I want to extend my gratitude to our esteemed chief guest, Padma Vibhushan Dr. Anil Kakotkar, Professor Ravindra Kulkarni, Vice Chancellor, University of Mumbai, and Professor Uday Salunke, Group Director of WeSchool, as well as Advocate S.N. Desai. Their steadfast contributions have been instrumental in bringing together today's event. Additionally, I must acknowledge my co-editor, Dr. Shrabana Barua, who regrettably couldn't join us due to her personal reasons, but is immensely appreciative to all of you for your presence on this occasion. This evening, we are marking the culmination of tireless research, unwavering dedication, and sincere passion that is poured into our book. as we delve into the narratives of India's nuclear titans, we embark on a journey that unveils the lives and triumphs of the visionaries who have been pivotal in shaping India's nuclear landscape. Before we delve into the book's content, I wish to share a small anecdote that underscores the inception of this project. This anecdote bears particular significance for some of our young audience present here today. So it was the summer of 2015. We saw a group of determined young scholars brimming with resolve entering the Professor Amitabh Mattu's class for a nuclear and disarmament studies lecture. On that inaugural day of the course, Professor Mattu tasked us to crafting biographies of individuals who had substantially contributed to India's ascent as a nuclear power. The ensuing zeal drove us to unearth and narrate the untold stories of these luminaries. In the months that followed, many of us held in our hands these invaluable stories. During this period, Dr. Shrabana and I conceived the idea of collating these narratives into a book. Fast forward to today, 7 years later, and we finally hold the fruit of our labor in our hands. This accomplishment was challenging. The manuscript journeyed from one publisher to the another, weathered delays due to the pandemic, and navigated the demands of our respective PhDs also. A special acknowledgement is owed here to our publisher Vitasta and all the contributors to the book, without whom its realization would not have been possible. It is important to emphasize that our academic pursuit was driven by more than just grades. As scholars in the realm of international relations, our understanding of the term nuclear was limited, thus kindling a deep curiosity about its intricacies. This exploration felt like venturing into the whole new world. Throughout the research, the notion persisted that our knowledge was confined to a handful of renowned names that have garnered prominence through various medias, such as the depiction of the Rocket Boys. So we contacted subject matter experts to guide us and contribute to the book to rectify this gap. This enthusiastic participation became an avenue to pay tribute to their idols. For instance, our author, Dr. Sameer Patil and Dr. Arun Vishwanathan, found great joy in conversing with Mallika Sarabhai, adding a personal touch to their work on Dr. Vikram Sarabhai. Similarly, I had the privilege of interacting with the family of K. Subramaniam, who was a source of invaluable insight, and he is also known as Indian Kissinger very affectionately by his family and friends. Likewise, Professor Nagappa's association with Dr. Kalam allowed him to share an anecdotes that we were known to, but a very few. Therefore, the pages of this book offers readers a chance to acquaint themselves with all these remarkable individuals intimately. Turning attention to our content of the book, the advent of the atomic bomb in the 1940s transformed the global power dynamics, wherein the possession of nuclear weaponry became a determinant of influence. The 5 nuclear-armed nations influenced the framework that crystallized in 1970s and exerted control across various arenas due to their newfound authority as nuclear possessors. Amidst the global acceptance of the nuclear status quo, India's stance on nuclear weaponry underwent a nuanced evolution. From a cautious approach to nuclear energy following independence in 1974, India progressed to covertly preparing for the nuclear tests. It ultimately took pride in sharing the test success with the world. This journey culminated into confident experimentation with fission and fusion devices in 1998, an achievement we commemorate this May, marking 25 years in 2023. By establishing a civil nuclear agreement with the United States in 2005, India carved a unique niche within the global nuclear paradigm. However, the intent of this volume is not to recount a chronological account of India's nuclear journey. It centers on the individuals who are pivotal in India's nuclear pursuits. Through their stories, this book illuminates the influences, challenges, and trajectories that shape their personal and professional lives, narratives that deserve sharing with the broader public. The book is structured into 4 distinct sections: scientists, statements, strategists, and diplomats. each featuring concise biographies from trailblazers like Homi Bhabha and Vikram Sarabhai, who laid the foundation to figures like Raja Ramanna and Mrs. Indira Gandhi, instrumental in executing Operation Smiling Buddha in 1974, and further to Sri Atal Bihari Vajpayee and K. Subramaniam, who guided in 1998 test and India's ensuing nuclear policies, and also individuals like Ambassador Arundhati Ghosh, who negotiated the Comprehensive Test Ban Treaty and India's nuclear strategies and perspectives on the global platform. Also, I would like to tell my audience here that in editing process, we did end up making a small factual error in the chapter on Ambassador Ghosh by writing NPT in place of CTBT. Nevertheless, it's essential to acknowledge that this book only captures a fraction of individuals' nuclear odyssey. It endeavors to spotlight few lives, acknowledging the subject's intrinsic complexity. Undoubtedly, it is a tribute to architects of India's nuclear journey across its various phases. In closing, this book underscores that the canvas of nuclear landscape remains incomplete, so more characters and hues are needed to complete this picture. Our journey does not culminate here. We commit to continue this exploration and present more biographies and their contributions in the coming times, in the coming volumes. And we will need the support of the scientific community present here, as well as all the experts that have gathered here in today's event. So let us remember that narratives within this book reiterates the potency and of human potential, innovation, and dedication to a grander purpose. Lastly, I would like to thank FINS, SRGF, and WeSchool for hosting this launch. I trust you will find today's event enjoyable. Thank you so much.
Thank you, ma'am. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now the time for which we have all gathered here. Our editors, Dr. Soumya Awasthi and Dr. Shrabana Barua, have put in immense efforts into crafting the remarkable book on nuclear science that we believe will leave a lasting impact. We thought it would be truly meaningful if the book could be launched by the blessed hands of Dr. Anil Kakodkar sir, along with Dr. Uday Salunke sir and Dr. Ravindra Kulkarni sir. May I request our distinguished guests to please rise to release the cover and launch the book. Ladies and gentlemen, let's put our hands together. This act not only symbolizes the launch of a book, but also represents the sharing of knowledge, ideas, and inspiration. The association of our distinguished guests with this event would impart a profound significance, and the blessings would undoubtedly encourage the editors and all those who have contributed to this endeavor. Thank you, everyone. We now further move on to our presidential address by Dr. Uday Salunke sir. Professor Dr. Uday Salunke sir is the Group Director, Welingkar Institute of Management, Development and Research, also known as WeSchool. Under his leadership, WeSchool has gained recognition for its innovative approaches to management education and its emphasis on practical learning. He is the recipient of the prestigious Eisenhower Fellowship, USA, which acknowledges and honors the contribution of thought leaders across the globe in their respective domains, bringing them together for a greater impact. Sir has also been awarded the Grand Davos Award at the World Communication Forum, Davos, for his tremendous contribution and lifelong dedication in the field of business communication in India. Dr. Salunke sir has authored a number of research papers, case studies, books, and book chapters, and has also sponsored projects under his credit. Over the last 35 years, Dr. Salunke sir has been actively associated with universities and educational bodies at the national and international level to improve the quality of management education. Sir has initiated several international partnerships with universities in Sweden, Israel, UK, Dubai, Germany, and Netherlands. Dr. Uday Salunke sir actively is involved in many initiatives that fosters industry and academia interaction. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Salunke sir to address us on this occasion.
Thanks for such a generous introduction. Our chief guest for the evening, Padma Shri, Padma Bhushan, Padma Vibhushan, a role model for all of us, our generation, Dr. Anil Kakodkarji, senior nuclear scientist. Our own Vice Chancellor of Mumbai University, Professor Dr. Ravindra Kulkarni-ji. In fact, after, sir, you took over the charge at VC, this is the first visit of yours after VC to WeSchool. So thank you very much. Advocate S.N. Desai, sir, Secretary General of FINS. Author of the book, Dr. Soumya Awasthi. Luminaries were present here from the defense, from the nuclear and overall integrated security strategist, fellow faculty colleagues, and I must even mention about a few of the business school directors. They have come to understand how business school can probably connect with this very unique kind of nuclear science. Frankly, in fact, when Nitin came and invited me and he mentioned to me that, sir, probably we wish to do so-and-so kind of program. I said, I don't mind probably, working out here. WeSchool is yours. He's our alumnus, very proud alumnus. But at the same time, this topic, I have never done any reading, nothing probably. And in business schools, we don't teach this. Barring maybe Dr. Page understands to a great extent, but we don't teach this. So what am I going to speak there? So you said that probably I'll share with you at least, the FINS and SRGF notes. I said, fine. But when I was just glancing through this book, I really felt, I said, probably as an institutional head, I made a big blunder of not studying this science so much seriously. Very recently, I started looking into from the capital market point of view that some of the defense companies have started multiplying the market cap substantially. So we started watching that. I mean, that is the only connection with the defense sector for me. But somewhere when I was just going through this book, I must share with this absolutely great audience about my learnings, my takeaways, so whatever little bit of which I could really go through. And prior to that, I just thought, I said, maybe when you're talking about integrated defense strategy for the nation, then I could really go through what are the different doctrines of Ajit Dovalji. And fortunately, Ajit Dovalji was here, so I had kind of fortunes of listening to him. And then even our current very popular Jai Shankarji, in fact, his doctrines and which way these doctrines goes with respect to overall geopolitical situation in the world. I feel it is very interesting science. Probably as a learner, I must probably at least start from today. Maybe in future, probably I'll pick a few good things. And when I was just going through this luminaries who are nuclear scientists and all people who contributed this, and as author Dr. Awasthi mentioned, when I was looking at Dr. Homi Bhabha, I felt really, I'm sure he was extremely a great, quick decision maker with efficiency. And he was certainly an institutional builder for Nuclear India, for TIFR. And he was also kind of philosopher, organizer, leader as well. And one of his quote, which was mentioned as a summary, which really appealed me, in which he has mentioned, since I cannot increase the content of life by increasing its duration, I will increase it by increasing its intensity. I do have this one purpose, increasing the intensity of my consciousness and life. I felt it is very deep, very profound, what was being cited by Dr. Homi Bhabha, the father of nuclear India. And likewise, when I was going through Vikram Sarabhai, again institution builder for one of the most prestigious institutions in the world like ISRO. And I really felt his ideas initiated by him decades ago touch citizens' lives. Probably younger generation may not know, but his ideas of those days and what he made foray, probably which touched the distance education in our education fraternity, satellite communication, market-based research, or remote sensing of natural resources, which is very, very critical in today's era. And he laid the foundation definitely for nuclear and space programs as well. And likewise, when I was going through others as well, Raja Ramanna definitely was a nuclear physicist with piano, which is being mentioned. And he was very inquisitive about Bing and Advaita. So that probably I felt it is wonderful. And he was in the office when the Smiling Buddha was really popular worldwide in 1974. Followed by our own former president, Missile Man of India, APJ Abdul Kalamji. We had the fortunes of interacting with him, meeting him, listening to him also on a couple of occasions. But he was always a definitely inspirational leader and with tremendous intuitive and far-sighted technology innovator. But also he was a poet, but also is an author, and a tremendous kind of hard work what he has put in. And our Honorable Prime Minister, Modi has mentioned that Kalamji saw poetry in a tree and energy that could be harvested in water, wind, and sun. We should learn to look at the world through his eyes and with the same missionary zeal. One of the brilliant learning which I'm sensing from here, many of these personalities were with different facets. They were using different lenses, different mental models, which we try to learn from our design thinking point of view in the business school. But this was awesome. Indira Gandhi, again, she's like being termed as the primus inter pares, the first among equals. And probably the lady which was always termed as Iron Lady. And her passion and drive which we have seen, at least during her office as the Prime Minister of India. Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji, again, it's being mentioned as Ajat Shatru leader. And one of his poems which is cited in the book was really very appealing. Hindu Tanman, Hindu Jeevan, Rag Rag Mera Hindu Parichay. Outstanding, it touched really. And he also conveyed very apt message to Pakistan in his poem in We Shall Not Allow War. I'm not getting into the details, but it was very well conveyed. But he was truly a great statesman, poet, true leader, loved by everyone. And he was the most popular political leader in Pakistan. The way in which people loved him in Pakistan, it was, I felt it was outstanding. Then in terms of thinkers and strategists, K. Subramaniam, who's a scholarly strategist, as it was mentioned, India's Kissinger. I had a fortune to meet Henry Kissinger during my Arizona fellowship, and I could just relate to some extent, definitely. His crucial part, definitely, role was there in shaping India's success, definitely, in internationalizing Indian nuclear viewpoints. And K. Subramaniam, when we're talking about, definitely, he played again multiple roles, not only as a strategist, not only as a great thinker, but he was also a journalist. And he spent some time of his later half, or maybe his other part, maybe after formal days in his role, with Times of India. He was termed as a bomb uncle or bomb mama, that kind of And I could probably gather what is being mentioned by people like Tarun Das, Uday Bhaskar, or even Susodya from IDSA. And all these people are talking about, we learn value of track 2 from K. Subramaniam. I never knew what is track 2. Then I did Google. What is track 2? What is track 1.5? What is track 1? What is track 3? Track 4? I felt it's a great, at least, value add for me personally. I never heard of these terms, but it was wonderful. And he was also termed, like K. Subramaniam was also termed as the Bhishma Pitama of strategic thinking amongst young scholars. And in his 2 terms, I'm sure, with IDSA in 2 stints, in 68-75 and 80-87, he added tremendous value for India, and he was father of definitely India's nuclear thinking. And likewise, Jagjeet Singh, nuclear strategist, being called as a red turban. C. Raja Mohan was an international relations scholar with nuclear physics background. Arundhati Ghosh, the proud Indian, who probably made her presence felt to lead India's thought process in the global place. And while doing that, I felt some of the thought processes of Ajit Dovalji, which was phenomenally, which is because I'm looking at from the overall defense point of view. He quoted, "The war is on till we are victorious." We should not give up. It's a worth learning for at least teachers like us. He also mentioned, if you make a provocation, you are partly responsible. But if you are not able to exercise power, it is as good as not having it. Does make sense. He also very powerful, and this particular quote was very popular. You may do one Mumbai, you may lose Baluchistan. Very, very emphatic. And he actually promoted, and I felt probably I spoke with my teachers as well, of his doctrine on defensive, offensive, and offensive. I was sharing with my faculty colleague just yesterday, but in our business school context. But I picked up the thread from Ajit Dovalji. It was awesome. There are multiple other thoughts which I picked up from these great thought leaders. But I think this is a wonderful opportunity for us to acknowledge the people who contributed, maybe I believe from 1954 onwards, for the nuclear development and giving that kind of strength for India in the global marketplace. And thank you very much, the team, Desai sir, Nitin, and the team for inviting me here and expressing my thoughts. Have a wonderful evening. Thank you. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Dr. Uday, sir. Thank you, Dr. Uday, sir, for sharing your insights and thoughts. Professor Dr. Ravindra Kulkarni, sir, completed his graduation from Institute of Chemical Technology, an MTech, and PhD from Rashtrasant Tukroji Maharaj Nagpur University. He is also recipient of Gold Medal for his academic excellence during the MTech program at the Nagpur University. With around 3 decades of teaching experience, Professor Dr. Ravindra Kulkarni, sir, served as senior professor at the Institute of Chennai Technology, Matunga, since 2016. With core research in the oils, oleochemicals, and surfactant technology. Ladies and gentlemen, let us please welcome Honorable Vice Chancellor, Professor Dr. Ravindra Kulkarni, sir.
Chief guest for this function, Padma Vibhushan, Dr. Anil Kakurkar, sir. Group Director, Dr. Uday Salunke, Welingkar School. Dr. Desai, Forum for Integrated National Security. All distinguished delegates. And the most important, the author of this book, India's Nuclear Titans, Dr. Soumya Awasthi. And probably let us recall even the contribution by Dr. Baru. As probably when I was called for this particular function, I was just looking at what kind of probably a outlook what the university authority should have from the perspective of this function. Naturally, when I was looking at this book, so it has given a great satisfaction from multiple angles. One is definitely being a completely unaware of the scientific principles connected to nuclear physics, or something not connected even to the international strategies connected to calling India as a nuclear power. But I must appreciate both authors that the way they have given in the beginning only the complete introduction of the technology connected to the nuclear fusion, and then the connected scientific demonstrations. So a scientific understanding of the nuclear technology could be easily understood from the initial chapters which the authors have written. And subsequently, probably when we look at the way same thing has been looked from the international perspective, or when we look at various international authors in this area, naturally the way they are looking at and the way our Indian perspective could have been, okay, that naturally differs a lot. When we look at the international authors, they always derive certain surprise that, for example, like when we compare our understanding of American authors or other authors connected to this area, that is what probably a matter of surprise, that they said like India being a democratic country had a lot of deliberations, lot of discussions, and probably somehow that led particularly maybe with little hesitation to begin with, but later on definite determination to become a nuclear power while retaining certain moral and ethical values. That is probably unmatched across the international scenario. Whether we look at US, France, UK, or China. So the way they have taken up their nuclear strategies, probably for them it was an easy task as compared to our country which is a democratic. Probably when the first Prime Minister of India, Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and Homi Bhabha, when they must have thought of having like an establishment of Atomic Energy Commission in 1948, of course both of them were very tall leaders, and that is how nobody would have questioned in those days, but definitely somebody must have thought that we do not have enough food even for our survival, and we are looking at space program, we are looking at a nuclear energy program. So that definitely thanks to the great vision of first Prime Minister Pandit Jawaharlal Nehru and the Homi Bhabha, who in fact was a great scientist as well as a great institution builder itself. And of course at international level also, Homi Bhabha, who was one of the founding member of International Atomic Energy Commission, and through his participation at Geneva event. So as a institution leader as well as a scientific technocrat, it definitely laid a good foundation of the program. However, due to its demise probably at a very unfortunate time, because both our second Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri and Homi Bhabha both passed away at a very short gap of interval. Now, probably when I look at Vikram Sarabhai, probably my acknowledgement of Vikram Sarabhai was completely connected to his role as a space scientist, and recently Chandrayaan-3 again gave a recall for his real contribution. But when I just looked at this book with reference to the contribution of Vikram Sarabhai, probably as a good academic leader, as a good institution builder, what is more important for me, that like although he was not a nuclear scientist, although he was not concerned with that, and actually his subordinates or probably his colleagues in the institution must have thought that like he did not have enough knowledge, in spite of that he is leading. So probably for me to look at that perspective, that in spite of being from a different area, how did the way he accommodated all the scientists like Homi Setna, maybe Raja Ramanna, and probably led from the front and allowed the program continued with same zeal and vigor. So that's really a great contribution from a leader like Vikram Sarabhai. Raja Ramanna, probably one of the key part, which I would like to understand from his insight as a scientist, that he always looked for a perfection. And that's how he has said in his one of the interview that like unfortunately Indian scientists, Indian technocrats derive satisfaction with a even a lower level of achievement, which should not have been. One should always look for a perfectionist, and that's what probably Raja Ramanna was always looking for, and the way he carried the development of the technologies, typically with Dhruv reactor and the other part. That's definitely hats off to his accomplishment. The most important, like of course for all of us, APJ Abdul Kalam always occupies a place in our heart. Not only because of his scientific contribution, but probably his great efforts in igniting the young minds. And he is very popular, he was very popular for that. Bharat Ratna APJ Abdul Kalam, the way he has taken up a minute details while carrying out the nuclear program, particularly for missile development or other. One of the good thing that I could understand, that specifically from the chemical technology angle, that at say particularly in those areas, those decade, like 1980s around, India was not very good in polymer chemistry and technology. Probably we could understand the real technological perspective of polymers maybe 1990 onwards. But even in like in those days, he utilized the glass reinforced fiber plastics probably to reduce the load of inert mass. That's really a great, and that's why these people are so great visionary, why these people are, because they give understanding, or they take or look at the minute details of each and every component connected to technology. That's the really great part. On one side, when we look at research as one of the important component, which is getting converted into a commercial platform or practice. On the other side, leadership support, strategic support was equally important. Many times the research appears to be good, research appears to be really commercially feasible, but unless it is supported by a strategic and leadership angle, it doesn't lead to success. And that is where probably two tall stalwarts like Prime Minister Indira Gandhi and Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee, whose bio sketch has been sketched by the two authors with great details. And the way probably the thinking of Prime Minister Indira Gandhi went on changing from 1960s to like 1975, that's really great. The leaders think differently according to the perspective of that scenario, and that is how whenever like in 1970 onwards, when Prime Minister Indira Gandhi took a bold decision of going for Pokhran Test 1, that is really great, and that laid the foundation of converting India into a nuclear power. Atal Bihari Vajpayee, who probably went for nuclear Pokhran Test 2, and where probably India got recognition as a nuclear power from that point of onwards. But look at the statesman approach from by the Prime Minister Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Although the test was completely successful and probably we got very good recognition across the world, but the way he said, like, it's not just my credit, neither it's credit of my team. It's one must give credit to the governments who keep on advocating the continuous success of the nuclear program, right from the Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru followed by Prime Minister Lal Bahadur Shastri, who in fact gave the crucial decision. However, unfortunately, his sad demise at a wrong time. Okay, otherwise, the thing could have been happened earlier also. And then Prime Minister Indira Gandhi and subsequent government. So he has given due credits to all governments who were probably continuously focusing on engaging nuclear program on a regular basis, and at the same time probably fighting at a international level against different countries, particularly superpower, who always wanted us to sign on the non-proliferation treaty. At that particular point, okay, all the prime ministers were like they presented themselves in a strong mold. So particularly 2005, the US-India treaty, okay, that is a landmark because that really gives us recognition in spite of all sanctions against India. Okay, we were equally confident in terms of technology development, and probably that really gave a good idea of our confidence in terms of scientific built-up technology development all across world. Now, probably today we are considered to be world's top fifth economical power. But then fighting against superpowers in those days was definitely a very tough task, and supported the support to this nuclear scientist as well as the Indian leaders. Definitely a great thinking given by strategic experts like K. Subramaniam and others. Probably this is one of the neglected area from the university angle, and that's what probably when I accepted particularly the invitation for this particular function, I was just thinking from that angle only. As an university, when we look at different departments, the way departments are developed and put forward, probably very few universities have really the department connected with strategic area, strategic analysis, strategic development, probably research connected to geopolitics. So many of the universities did not have. In fact, University of Mumbai, although has a legacy of 166 years of academic and research excellence, we could start the School of International Relations and Strategic Studies only in 2021. So that itself shows the great ignorance of university with reference to the strategic angle. And probably that's an area which has not given a right attention by different universities. So that is where probably going through all the strategic thinkers, the universities must come forward to take up the strategic attention connected to different programs, whether it is nuclear program, whether it is blue economy, whether it is space research. Everywhere probably we are required to be very well focused, and that's what probably I could take, I would rather say it's a takeaway for me as a something connected to university, that we have ignored, we have neglected this particular area for decades, and probably now we need to cover up as fast as possible itself. Of course, the last part, the diplomat Arundhati Ghosh. In fact, when at television across, we have heard Arundhati many times, and the way she presented with due confidence that we will never sign that treaty, the way, the confidence with which she had presented, and probably provided a right level of diplomacy, thereby presenting the confidence of India across global level. That's really unmatched. So this particular book, Dr. Awasthi Madam, is really giving a complete foresight, a complete coverage from different angle. On one side, we could look at the scientific journey. On the other side, we could get an idea about political leadership who supported this program. On the other hand, we could understand from the strategic thinking and the way both of the political leaders as well as scientific fraternity have been supported by a strategic thinker. That is really a good, and like looking at even diplomats who played a great role at international level. So the book gives a really good insight. I extend sincere congratulations and best appreciation to Dr. Awasthi and Dr. Barua for presenting really details for laymen like this, laymen like me, who could understand really a complete journey of India becoming a nuclear power. So thanks to Forum for Integrated National Security for inviting me here. And definitely, as I have said repeatedly, the takeaway for me is to see that universities must work very well and support all these areas through academics as well as research. And University of Mumbai is now determined to take this in a forward direction. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for sharing your profound thoughts. We now have the address by our chief guest. Dr. Anil Kakotkar, sir, joined the Bhabha Atomic Research Center in 1964, following the one-year postgraduate training with top rank in the nuclear science and technology in the then Atomic Energy Establishment. He became the director of BARC in the year 1996 and was the chairman of Atomic Energy Commission and secretary to the Government of India, Department of Atomic Energy, during the period 2000 to 2009. Sir was the Department of Atomic Energy Homi Bhabha chair professor from Jan 2010 to Jan 2015, and the Indian National Academy of Engineering Satish Dhawan chair of engineering eminence from January 2015 to January 2017. Currently, he is AICTE Distinguished Chair Professor. Sir has obtained his BE in Mechanical Engineering degree from the Bombay University in 1963, and MSc in the Experimental Stress Analysis from the Nottingham University, UK in 1969. Sir has worked for the development of the atomic energy program in India throughout his professional life. Sir has been a key contributor to India's strategic program. He was amongst the chosen few individuals involved in the first successful, peaceful nuclear explosion experiment that India conducted on May 18, 1974 at Pokhran. And later, he played a key role in the series of successful nuclear tests conducted in May 1998, again at Pokhran. The comprehensive and robust program under Sir's leadership has earned India a distinctive status as a country with advanced nuclear technology. Dr. Kakotkar sir has over the years built competent teams of highly specialized scientists and engineers in the reactor engineering program. He has brought out about more than 250 scientific papers and reports on various subjects related to nuclear program. He has chaired several committees especially to give recommendations on regarding education. Further, Technology Information Forecasting and Assessment Counseling, APEX group led by him, has brought out a Technology Vision 2035. The document was released by Honorable Prime Minister of India during the Indian Science Congress on January 3, 2016. Dr. Kakotkar sir is also the chairman of Maharashtra Knowledge Corporation Limited, which was promoted by the Department of Higher and Technical Education, Government of Maharashtra. Sir has been honored by all 3 Padma Awards and highest state awards from Maharashtra, Goa, and Madhya Pradesh, besides several other national and international awards and honors. We are truly fortunate to have you, sir. And we cannot wait to hear some words of wisdom from you. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Dr. Anil Kakotkar sir to address us on this occasion.
Thank you for those generous words. Professor Kulkarni, Vice Chancellor, University of Mumbai, Dr. Salunke, the Group Director, WeSchool, Advocate Desai, Dr. Awasthi, and distinguished ladies and gentlemen present here. When Dr. Soumya contacted me when this book was finished, about to be published, to write the foreword, and I'm sure still, I was actually surprised. So I literally interviewed her for some time. And then I decided to read the book. And only then I wrote the foreword. It was a unique effort from my perspective. Because you either write biography of people or you write description of a program. This one, it seems to me, and I think you had said so at some stage, that it was meant to understand the evolution of not so much the program per se, but the evolution of policies through the biographical tales. So understand, and I think as an exercise, I personally felt this was a unique exercise to, and one thinks of it rarely, many people say Dr. Bhabha had a plan for making a bomb. Because he had said at some stage that, look, give us 18 months and we'll produce one. Now, picking up such statements and kind of, making a whole out of a small little nuclear statement is, to my mind, of course it is a fact, it's a truth, but it is extreme extrapolation, which of course is also full of inaccuracies then, because of this large-scale extrapolation. And so in contrast, talking about people, how they evolved, how their work evolved, and in the process try to understand how the national policies in respect of a particular technology or particular activity, in this case nuclear, evolved, I think is an important exercise. And I'm not saying that you can get everything through that, but it's certainly one way of making people understand the evolution in an intelligent way. And I wish to congratulate you, Agna. I had done that earlier, but I wish to congratulate Dr. Awasthi and Dr. Barua for this exercise, and also to Professor Mattu. I think he was your guide, right? Yeah, he was your Professor Mattu. Because I think to initiate students into that kind of a thing also, I think it's a sign of a very thoughtful teacher. I want to also compliment FINS. FINS has been trying to promote strategic thought in the country in a variety of strategic areas. Not very easy to do. And but I think the persistence with which they are pursuing this is remarkable. And so it's no wonder that when this book came out, Vince thought of doing the release in Mumbai. I think this book is already released, but released in Mumbai. So compliments to Fins for doing this. Dr. Salunke mentioned about track 2. So I want to begin by an anecdote connected with track 2. And then of course I'll come back to other aspects. And you know, this track 2 activity is fairly common. For some people it has actually become profession of life. They keep doing track 2 the entire life. So no disregard to people involved in track 2, I also do. But soon after the nuclear tests, I got dragged into, because several invitations used to come, particularly from United States, but also other countries. And we want to have a track 2 dialogue. And of course, it will be some institution somewhere who will be the Indian host. So at one stage, a proposal came for track 2 dialogue on, let's look at seismicity of the sites, nuclear test sites. Now, it's a very sensitive matter, you know. It's like, you know, we do imaging of, medical imaging of body. These are all sound signals, these are all electromagnetic signals. So, seismic signals are a perfect way of imaging what happened below the ground when the tests took place. It's also a perfect way of imaging what's happening, which we don't see with our eye, both out of natural causes as well as man-made causes. It's also a way of figuring out the activities that is taking place without being physically there, just figure out. So when this proposal came, I was quite alarmed. Everybody said, no, how can we say no? We must discuss. So finally I said, okay, if we have track 2, we will have track 2, but it should be symmetrical. Any international relations have to be necessarily symmetrical. So if you want to talk about Pokhran test site, I want to talk about Nevada test site. If you want to talk about, for example, the seismic correlations and things like that, I want to talk about that as applied to India, but also as applied to the sites in United States. And then why, if you're talking about discussion on seismicity or seismic issue, why talk about only these nuclear test sites? Nuclear reactors are also prone to issues related to, so we should talk about it also. So I sent back a response saying that great idea, but I think we should include all this. And the next response was, and this is from a very, I won't take the name, very respectable lab in US, saying that no, we don't have enough experts to talk about reactor seismology, and there ended the matter. I was very happy. So to cut the light-hearted part apart, I have got worried about this track 2 business. So I then went deeper in this. And then I found that track 2 meetings, you know, on either side, the number of people are not too many, 7, 8, that's all. And then I actually figured out that, well, you have a track 2 dialogue. So let's say I'm launching a track 2 dialogue and with, say, another country. So I decide my team. Other side, I can't decide, but I influence that. So whatever I know, I said, no, why can't we have so and so, so and so, so and so. You have a discussion, then you find that somebody is a tough character, very not amenable to what you want to achieve. Now this track to dialogue, there's never one meeting. There is a next meeting. So in the next meeting you suggest, no, that gentleman is it's not very profound. Let's get another person. And statistically, if you conduct 3 meetings and replace a few people in each meeting, you can get unanimous opinion out of track to discussion. And I have noticed this, and India has been a prey to this. We get enamored by track 2 dialogue. We get, one meeting in India, another meeting in US, so I have a chance to go abroad. But this is a way the rich and the powerful countries create a track 2 dialogue with a 100% unanimous agreement. So I got worried, and I thought that we don't have enough people here. So actually, Mr. Brajesh Mishra was the NSA as well as Principal Secretary. So I asked him that, and of course he has been a seasoned diplomat. He must have known this for decades. But I told him that, look, what is this happening? So he asked me in his character, "To kya karna chahte ho?" So he said, "I want to start my own track too. Why should India be reacting to somebody? Somebody makes a proposal, so you react." I said, "I want to start a track too. If they play a game on us, we should also be able to play a game." So he looked at me, "Karoge?" I said, "Try to kar sakte hain." So he said, "Karo." And then he said, "Where are the people?" So I had not thought about this, sir. So I said, "Nahi, dhundenge, ye karenge." "Haan, dhundo." Well, I don't know whether they will carry your bidding or their bidding. And I stopped that activity. So the short point is, I think I must admire people like Advocate Desai or Soumya Awasthi or other, who are kind of, creating that capability in the country. And I must tell you, compared to at least 10, 15 years ago, today there is, I won't say great capability, but some capability, which is very important. Otherwise, we are still suffering that subservient mindset, the so-called white skin complex, and whatever white man says must be right. And I have seen this myself, because when I said I put my red lines on Indo-US deal, everybody, for this fool fellow, he will let go a whole opportunity of developing cooperation with United States. So congratulations to you, congratulations to Sai, I think, for carrying this movement of developing strategic thought within the country. Now let me come to business school. You said it should. Now you can't connect these things to the markets and business. But the important thing is when new technology emerges, and nowadays these things are happening at a much faster pace than what they were happening earlier. Take the case of artificial intelligence. And now the technology is moving much faster than our ability to make policies, our ability to make governance rules. And it's also so powerful and so widespread that I think a time will come when governments will not be able to govern. I got convinced about it. because by the time a government makes a rule, legislation and all, it has a finite process because, after all, there is a system. And technology would have done enough impact on the society. Some may be positive, some may be negative. So the challenge is, how do you deal with some situations? And I think this is where the institutions become very important than government. Universities. See, most important things in the world around us, the evolution of the world, has happened in the institutions of knowledge. And the institutions of knowledge is actually supposed to be a great pool of quote-unquote wise people, and who can tell what is the right thing, what is the shape of things to happen tomorrow, who can advise governments, who can advise members of the society as to how to deal with an emergent problem. Now, today what has happened is nobody bothers about this. Everybody, unless a policeman comes and shows a danda, nobody wants to behave. And I think it is important that the thought process, just like we're talking about strategic thought, the evolution of thought process is always maintained at the right level, regardless of these transitions which are taking place. So this question is if you talk about this domain, technology and policy, it's always evolving, and you can't shape policies unless you know what the technology is, what are its impact, what kind of care one needs to take. And once you know the technology, you shape policy, you guide the technology further evolution in a particular way. So they go hand in hand. And so coming back to this book, the nuclear titans, there are scientists, there are diplomats, there are political leaders, statesmen. Now, it's not as if any one of them or all of them had an idea that India will make a bomb. It's far from it. Initially, they only knew that atomic energy is a new science, upcoming science. It could have a lot of ramifications. So it could be a great instrument of power. It could also be a great instrument of development. And particularly people like Bhabha, Nehru, they, in my understanding, they knew this very well. So they had an idea of what can happen, where it could be used. But at the same time, I think actual decision of what to do and when to do is a matter of evolution. And so even if it does great study in looking at who said what and how, I think what has been done in this book, you trace the biographical tales of these individuals, you see things unfolding. And it's a question of determination that I will have a bomb doesn't make that you will have the bomb tomorrow. It requires a lot of preparation. It may take preparation over decades or even longer. And when you're embarking on an activity that long, you can't pinpoint and predict that I will use it in year so and so or year so and so, because that's it's how the the history is unfolding, how the geopolitics is unfolding. So it's not as if you start precisely like a management exercise, you draw a plan and step 1, step 2. It doesn't happen like that. You have a broad idea and it's an evolution. It can take multiple pathways, and I am sure it has been in past and it will be in future. Tomorrow, depending on how things unfold, I can say with confidence, atomic energy will even now manifest different pathways. One simple thing, many of you may not like it, but I may nevertheless mention. We are talking about net zero. We are all worried about climate change, net zero. We are given great emphasis in renewable energy, which is wonderful, absolutely necessary. But we somehow have a mindset that renewable energy will solve all problems. Now, in my opinion, that mindset is wrong. If you decide that India will remain at developmental status as it is now, maybe this is right. But you can't do that. Aspirations travel. So either India, you raise your level comparable with the best United States, or if India remains like that, all good people will go to United States. So the important thing is, now you want to develop and you want to make sure that you don't emit carbon dioxide. And take it from me, 50% energy has to necessarily come from nuclear. Are we ready to do that today? I think the answer is no. And I think time will come when we'll find an answer. So the point I'm making is things evolve, and they evolve in multiple pathways. And maybe tomorrow there may be another turn, so it may not exactly happen the way I'm telling. And I think reading this book, you may not get an exact notion, but you may get different ideas. You may understand how these linkages are there. And that's the value of this book in my assessment. The last point that I wish to make is what Professor Kulkarni said. And that is, I think we are talking about an interdisciplinary world. Now, I am sure Dr. Soumya, when she was doing her research, technical issues must have been a big challenge for you, because I have told you some of them. Many of you will not capture that, but now I think you want to do a great job on strategic thinking. You cannot do unless you understand technology. Or on the other hand, you want to do a great job of technology, and you say that I am only a technologist, I am only a scientist, let me do my job and I am not worried about the rest of what happens in the society, humanity. I think you will not be successful. So I think we need to, of course, you mentioned that programs on international studies will launch. That, of course, is great. But I think with this new education policy, the cross connections, interdisciplinarity and all is coming, it should penetrate across the board. And this is one thing absolutely necessary, at least as we go forward. And that doesn't mean that we should also have, so now India is a big country. India has arrived on the global scene, a rising power. And so I think gone are the days, according to me, when we look at somebody coming, we look at that as somebody which creates us opportunity to go abroad. They make proposal, we look at that, react to those proposals in one way or the other. I think we should forget about all that. We should shape the agenda and we should carry that agenda forward. And that requires a large number of people who can do this, so who have to understand strategic thought, who have to understand the corresponding technology, who have to understand the political science part of it. And it's only then that India will be able to exert its, what you will call, soft power, hard power, whatever. And I know FINS is already engaged in these areas, so I wish you all the good luck. And this book will at least contribute something further in terms of not just nuclear, but other areas in bringing that capability in the country. Otherwise, we always look at short-term business. I always say, we are all governed, our policies are governed by vendors coming from abroad. And according to me, it's a very tragic, because we all see business there, we all see money there, but we tend to create a lot of harm to the country. So that's your contribution, and I want to compliment you for that, and thank all of you for tolerating me for so long. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Kakotkar, sir, for sharing your profound thoughts. I'm sure your insights and anecdotes were truly informative and of deep learning for all of us. I would now like to call upon Mr. Varun Kandare, sir, of SRGF to say a few words.
Very good evening to our eminent guests, as well as to all of you here in the audience, as the people connected with us via our live streams today. As the representative and on behalf of the youngest of the three institutions here, which put together this book launch event today, there's really nothing much that I can add, especially after, eminent guests and stalwarts have already spoken. But I would like to express my gratitude and my note of thanks, of course, to WeSchool and FINS for working with us in bringing together this event, and to our eminent guests here, to Dr. Kakotkar sir, Dr. Kulkarni sir, Dr. Saunke sir, as well as to Advocate Desai sir. As one key takeaway of being here today is that we all want to work on initiatives that bring about the idea of nation first. And in that sense, a young institution like ours is trying to do its bit in invigorating this idea and this thought in young minds. And in doing so, I'm really grateful to Doctors Awasthi and Barua today that they brought out this idea, they put together this book, and we got the chance to collaborate on bringing it here to Mumbai and to Maharashtra. So thank you so much. And as a part of that, I'm really glad that a young team like ours was able to work with such seasoned and driven people, both from FINS and from WeSchool. And the only thing I would like to say is that we certainly look forward to this guidance as well as to this collaboration and towards fostering this relationship and to bring many more such interactions and events to you into the future. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, sir. We are now at the fag end of this event, and I would like to now invite Dr. Nitin Kulkarni, sir, Senior Fellow FINS and Associate Professor, MET Institute of Management, to propose the vote of thanks.
Thank you, Survi. Good evening, everyone. Nice to see you here after 1.5 hours of a very good deliberation with our dignitaries. It is my privilege to propose a vote of thanks and acknowledge the contribution of those who have worked hard to make this event possible. First, I extend a hearty vote of thanks to all our dignitaries present here, especially Dr. Uday Salunke sir, who really spared his time from his busy schedule, and he graced the occasion and he presided over the function. Sir, you not only accepted to preside over the function, but also extended all your supports. And with whatever the paucity of time, you went through that book and different examples you have quoted with a good insight about the book, so readers can go through once they will get that particular book. Today we are also an opportunity to hear and thoughts and view of Dr. Ravindra Kulkarni sir, Honorable Vice Chancellor of Mumbai University. Sir, with your modest conduct, you really won our hearts, and you really cut your introduction in between. And one can say that you really don't require any introduction, because you really given a speech which has rather you accepted that university has neglected a particular topic for long, and the time has come to correct this particular mistake. You also highlighted, sir, that unless you don't have a proper leadership and setup, you can't proceed further in any research environment. And you have given an example of Atal Bihari Vajpayee ji and how he has supported all endeavors of nuclear science recently. You did also mention about the importance of strategic studies in today's geopolitical dynamic environment, and hope the Mumbai University will take it further. We have no words to offer gratitude for your valuable presence and opinion at this program, sir. Thank you. Dr. Kakodkar, sir, your deep and intellectual way of imparting this complex subject with a lot of example has added glory to this particular event. And we must say that you very lucidly explain, I'll call the effects of track 2 sort of a diplomacy in today's world, which is totally, complex and geopolitically a lot of turbulence which is there. You also narrated in a very simple way that strategic thinking is incomplete without the technology. So somewhere in our national education policy, and Dr. Kulkarni sir, actually the head of that for the state of Maharashtra, we can look forward that any strategic management or strategic studies or subject where strategic thinking is there, somehow we need to integrate the technology in between. Now, event like this, it cannot happen overnight. It requires a lot of planning with a bird's eye view. And we are fortunate enough to back up by a team from the WeSchool under the leadership of Dr. Uday Salunke sir, team SRGF, which was steered by Mr. Varun Khandare, the publishers for this particular event, and the members of FINS under the guidance of our own Advocate Balasaheb Desai sir. And they were working round the clock since last 2-3 weeks to make this particular event happen. Also, I want to extend the vote of thanks to Dr. Soumya Awasthi ma'am, that you mentioned the role of scientist in a very different way And as said by Kulkarni sir and as well as by Kakodkar sir, the storytelling way through biosketches could also impact how the evolution of policy has taken place. So I think this is a great contribution from your side. Couple of months back, I was reading a book by Larry Pressler, who was supposed to be the senator and considered as a friend of India. And he did mention in his book, the Neighbors in Arm, he says that the policy formation required the inputs from academia, industry, subject matter experts, and the society at large. And when I was just listening to Kakodkar sir, he already had that particular view. And for many years he is propagating. Only thing is, it is not, say, somewhere documented. And then we have to listen to Larry Pressler for this particular note. So I think this is a great contribution from your side, man. I like to mention a special mention of Vidya Naik madam from Welingkar, as well as Shri Vidyadhar Vivalkar from Finns, and of course Surbhi for being the catalyst that encourage all of us to the best. And finally, last but not least, it is not complete, that this wonderful audience which is there today, and by showing their presence, they have showed us that they belong to the side of science, and in particularly the nuclear science. So big thank you to all of you, and I hope you enjoy this program, and we are going to do such more events in the future. So have a great evening ahead. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nitin sir. Those of you who would like to buy this book, it is available at the counters outside the boardroom and also on Amazon, should you wish to buy it online. Kindly join us for a delightful high tea gathering immediately following this event. As we come to the close of this wonderful event, I extend my heartfelt gratitude to each and every one of you present here for making this a memorable gathering. Your presence and participation has truly made this special occasion. Thank you all. I request everyone to rise for National Anthem. Adinayak Jaya He Bharat Bhagya Vidhata Punjab Sindh Gujarat Maratha Dravid Utkal Banga Yamuna Ganga Uttara Jaladi Taranga Tava Shubha Name Jage Tava Shubha Ashish Mange Gare Tava Jaya Gatha Janana Mangal Dayak Jaya He Bharat Bhagya Vidhata Jaya He Jaya He Jaya He Jaya 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 He. Thank you everyone.